New York is finding out. New York, for some time now, is a sanctuary city, and a lot of people are expressly welcome to illegal immigrants. And you will see how this narrative has brought New Yorkers to find out that sometimes there is too much of a thing. There is an overdose of immigration, and there is generalized unrest, uncleanliness, and lack of civility coming with it.
Really?
So they've
Yes.
adopted
Shocking.
the culture of New York then, by the sounds of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So you see that sometimes there's an issue of cultural compatibilities and incompatibilities, and New York has this issue here. We are going to talk about it, and we are going to look a bit about what has happened in the last year. Obviously, this goes back decades, but especially in the last year, we are seeing a lot of developments that are really interesting, and actually shows what happens when a lot of the progressivists, and not just the politicians, the people who support progressive politics, actually become confronted with the consequences to their own actions and the consequences to the policies that they have implemented. Because usually what happens with progressivists is that they want others to pay the bill.
100%. I mean, you can see this in Britain in particular, in the fact that around Westminster, in London, and sort of the very centre and the heart of government, there aren't these problems, right? There are tourists wandering around. So it's not that you don't see any foreign people. They're all tourists taking photos of Westminster Abbey or the Houses of Parliament, whatever.
Yes.
They don't get these problems there.
In 2024, this is political choice. It's not just...
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
This is not just an error. So I will show you something that happened here, because it shows lack of civil, let's say, civility and basic stuff about civil obedience to authority. There was a park in January that people were there in close to Times Square.
Is it Central Park?
It's everywhere,
Right.
basically. It's everywhere.
Okay.
And the police went there to try and tell some illegal migrants to leave the place, and they started
Assaulting the police.
assaulting them, kicking and hitting them. And you will see that a lot of them just weren't particularly punished.
Not particularly grateful to the people, not particularly...
Yes, so there's a question of whether the response to their actions was particularly relaxed. So you will see here there were under the terms of the deal offered by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, Darwin Gomez Isquiel, 19, will serve 364 days in jail. The other migrants, Henry Breda, 24, and Ulysses Vahorquez, 21, were offered plea deals to serve a year in jail in exchange for pleading guilty to second-degree assault, the New York Post reports, citing the DA's office. So we're talking about 3 people here, but there were many more. And people can watch the video and they see how basically a whole gang just started assaulting the officers. And there is a debate that has been sparked.
They're lucky they didn't get shot.
Yes. It's just another day ending in Y.
Yeah.
And there has been a debate about whether this person should be deported.
Yes.
Yeah, what's the debate?
Yes, but you would expect progressivists
Well,
to not engage in this. And this is what is interesting in New York City. You see one of the cases where the state is in clash with the federal government. And in fact, you have a progressivist mayor who is basically blaming the federal government for not addressing the migrant issue, the migrant crisis. And you have a Democrat mayor, Eric Adams, who is also saying that migration will be our end. And he has been saying so for a while now.
Okay.
So this is a particularly interesting case.
Yeah.
What is going on in New York City. So
They are literally finding out.
they're literally finding out. So let's see here about generalized uncleanliness. So New York City neighborhood turned into giant toilet as migrants litter park with poop, leave cups of urine on doorsteps. That's a very weird custom.
It's sort of like a gift. You know how a pet cat might bring you a dead, beheaded mouse or
Yes.
something, you know?
The migrant brings you a cup of wee.
It's my bodily fluid. It's like a June, isn't it?
Oh,
It's a gift.
God.
And basically it's beyond control.
Yeah.
The cleaning workers are saying that things are so filthy that they can't handle it. They say the loos have become so filthy, the workers gave up on maintaining them, according to locals. There was a cup of what I thought was somebody's discarded hot chocolate that turned out to be not hot chocolate.
God,
Said street cleaner Josh Cashman.
Somehow managed to import the most disgusting people on earth.
On warmer days, it can smell like a toilet over here, and not a well-kept toilet. I
How they had to specify that.
Yes,
Yeah.
they say in the past week, locals and volunteers said they have spotted cups filled with urine around the park's entrance, near the former school, along with human-sized poop in tree beds and between parked cars. Most of them want to pee in plastic cups rather than the ground, and they leave them on people's doorsteps.
But that's so weird.
Yeah,
Why?
it is weird. Surely you would want it to go in the ground or in
Yeah.
a toilet, ideally. But
It's like, okay, I really need to wee. I need a cup. What? Why? Just pee against a tree or something.
maybe
And
women, I don't know. But surely most of these people would be men, right?
yeah, but
Yeah.
you see here footage
it's
from the public
disgusting.
toilets. They are beyond
Okay, let's move on. 'Cause that's a disgusting photo.
exactly. You see,
I like the graffiti that just said hell on it. That was
Yes.
quite fitting.
So here we have a very interesting video, which I will play for about a minute, showing the residents who are finding out.
Showing the people who voted for this. Finally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some here are frightened now just to go outside.
Now it feels like that whole
And that's we're
section
doing that, and that's what
is just not available to the community
asking our local elected
anymore.
that they
So our parks
go
are not
into their
available to
neighborhoods,
Multiple audios
search
playing
out
here.
and
can't
give us
go
a list of all of the
someone-
empty
You can't go
lots
to the
that
parks.
there are.
Migrants from a 4,000-bed shelter nearby fill the sidewalks. They sit on park benches, on stoops and curbs,
Milling about,
under
one
the
might say.
BQE overpass. So many people crowded in here. Residents feared what was coming.
We have been witnessing the escalation in violence on the street and in the community for months now.
We've been pleading with the mayor, as we've seen increased violence, that this was going to be inevitable.
And on Sunday night, it came. 2 people were murdered here, a third critically injured just outside one of the 2 adjacent shelters in Clinton Hill. It is a neighborhood now, pleading for help. Residents came together tonight to demand the city provide more protection for them now and move to downsize the 2 enormous and crowded migrant shelters in Clinton Hill.
So basically, everything that we have been talking about whenever we're talking about issues concerning mass migration, you see New Yorkers expressing.
I bet all of these people vote Democrat. We're going to see a new movement, Democrats for Trump.
Well, unfortunately, there was another body found in garbage bag earlier today in New York City, and it was just under and outside where illegal migrants are being housed. So obviously, it's just not a surprise.
So that was the 6th of July, by the way.
Yeah, there are many.
Okay, yeah.
As I said, we're
Oh, right,
talking
I see,
about
yeah.
a whole year
Yeah.
of
be fair,
developments.
Murders in New York, there probably has been, one going on since we started this podcast.
Yes, and much before that. But the thing is that there is a political will, and there is a political choice to improve things or to let them disintegrate. And you could definitely talk about gang-ridden New York,
Yeah.
gangs of New York in the 19th century and stuff. But
Good film
the point
as well.
is, exactly, but the point is, can we make things better or worse? That's
Yeah. And it's just, okay, well, if you vote Republican, you get people like Rudy Giuliani who do smash the gangs. And if you vote Democrat, you get all of this disgusting stuff. And so you get what you vote for.
Exactly. And that is the issue, because a lot of progressivists are just hoping that other people are going to suffer the consequences of their own policies. But when they encounter their own creation, they are particularly unhappy.
I tell you, I'd love to have asked those people to say, and who did you vote for last time? They'll all say Democrat. It's like, just, okay.
They're finding out.
Yeah.
So residents in Democratic stronghold fuming as migrant mega shelter causes explosion of gang-related crime.
Amazing.
So, I mean, it's just obvious. Yeah, you can have here more context if you want. Clinton Hill was once a charming and relatively safe part of Brooklyn. It is now turning into a chaotic environment filled with migrants due to a mega complex set up by New York City to
You
house
voted for this.
thousands. Yeah.
You voted for exactly that. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Exactly. You literally voted for this. You came out like, you know what? Trump's a racist. What I need is a mega migrant complex. Like,
Exactly.
no sympathy
For those of you who are not watching this and you're on audio, we have a wonderful meme here from Liberocrat Media asking who wants to tell them. And as a meme, we have...
I don't feel safe in my own neighborhood. You literally voted for this.
Yeah, we have the chat saying you literally voted for this. And they did. But they were hoping that other people were going to...
It's not like the Democrats were even slightly like reticent on this point. They weren't like, okay, guys, we'll ignore the migrant issue, or we'll build a wall or whatever. And then they did it behind your back. No, they came out and said, no, we're going to make every city a sanctuary city. Migrants welcome, refugees welcome. They're all just racist and bigots. It's not like they were quiet about this.
Yeah. So I have some links from last year, from last October 2023, to show you something that happened due to Greg Abbott's, the governor of Texas, decision to house thousands of migrants that crossed from the southern border and take them to New York, and all of them went to Staten Island.
People should get what they vote for.
He bust them all up there, didn't he?
He did.
Yes.
Which was, I thought it was hilarious. I covered it at the time of him announcing it, and I was just like, I respect that. Just like giving them the consequences of their own actions while they're not helping you on your border, when you're holding them back.
Yes.
You know, like the shield arm of the United States.
Yeah. And people were saying that Greg Abbott is one of the most efficient politicians. He actually did something. So we have here tensions flare over migrants in New York City. Staten Island protesters are arrested while trying to stop buses carrying asylum seekers to shelter as they yell, take them back. And we have some of the photos here of the police arresting people who were basically protesting against the events we see right now in New York City and the causes of these events. Because it's just math. If you just flood a city with people,
it costs you money.
It costs you money. And not only costs you money, but
makes your environment disgusting.
Even if we played along with the economic idea that all of them will let's say enter the job market, it's not going to be done just with a snap of your fingers. It's going to take a lot of time.
Who does that benefit? That benefits the big business owners. It doesn't benefit the workers in any way, shape, or form.
So we have
the opposite, in fact. Sorry. So by importing lots of people in, it suppresses wages and allows large corporations to profit more, and the cost of living for your average person to go down. That is what happens. It's basic supply and demand.
And it's common sense.
It is common sense.
It's just common sense.
Yes. So we have Mayor of New York, Eric Adams, basically saying, yes, a Democrat, saying what you're going to hear right now. That was in September 7th, 2023.
Support. And let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City.
It's just pretty clear.
Trumpian rhetoric.
Yeah.
Eric Adams joins the far right.
Exactly.
No, this is just the reality of it.
This is, they would say that he had the far right moment or something.
Yep.
So what happened here is really interesting because he blamed the federal government for basically doing nothing.
And not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong, but
for being part of the problem.
Joe Biden was there for the UN Assembly, and Mayor Adams said that this was an emergency, and he asked to meet with Joe Biden, and the president of the US basically ignored him.
What, that racist? I'm not meeting with him.
Well, he ignored him, and basically that is on a symbolic level. It just says that I'm just not interested in you saying that there is not an end in this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I just don't accept criticism from within my own party. That's exactly what
but also
this shows.
This criticism comes on lines that contradict literally everything about the Democrats' messaging. He's like, look, in reality, this is making our city disgusting, it's making our city dangerous, and it's making our city bankrupt. We have to do something about this. He's essentially saying the Republicans are right about this kind of immigration.
And he's saying here, you will see New York doesn't deserve this. And this is really interesting
Democrat.
and telling. This some people didn't. So yeah, but no,
the majority did.
Okay, so what is interesting here is that he is basically accepting that this is an issue that there is no problem to, And the question is, why is it an issue?
No solution to you.
Why is it an issue? And why is there no solution, as he said? So it is interesting to see that if a Democrat accepts that this is an issue, they have to accept that, for instance, there is a problem with cultural continuities and cultural discontinuities. And Democrats, especially when it comes to the higher echelons of the federal government, have been talking about multiculturalism in a very abstract sense.
Also in a universally positive sense.
Yes, exactly. So they are talking about abstract humans, and they're stripping away culture and the influence of culture and different cultures upon individuals.
And the good thing about talking the abstract is there's never a consequence to it.
Exactly. So whenever they're saying that we accept immigrants, they are not asking what kind of immigrants, where from, what kind of cultures are we going to treat as compatible with our way of life, and what kind of cultures are we going to treat as incompatible with the way of life.
Yeah.
So all these are questions that Mayor Eric Adams should be asking, because they are implicit in him agreeing that this is a problem.
And also, just a quick thing, they never question the quality of the people either. Like, sorry, it's not the successful, hardworking, decent, upstanding pillars of the community that choose to just flee their country that isn't at war in order to try and get gibs from the United States or from Britain or whatever, right?
Well, it's the victim framing doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, isn't
Absolutely
it?
is.
If you're a victim, somehow that's a good thing. I actually think that being a victim is a mindset, and you choose to be a victim, and that victimhood is for the weak ultimately, and it's not a good thing.
But also, it's also for those people who seek to take advantage of you.
Exactly.
Right? If someone wants to exploit you, and you're like, oh, can I help you? They're going to say, yes, you can. Actually, you give me all this money, you can give me all this free stuff, you can give me all this grace, and I'm just going to keep throwing it back in your face. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about the character of the people doing this. Who's taking a crap in the middle of the day in the sidewalk? Like, that person is there, not there because they care about your culture or way of life or have any respect for you or anything like that. They're there because you are able to be exploited. Yes. That's why.
So here we have a very interesting development, because Mayor Adams is trying to do something.
Based on right-wing Mayor Adams. He's joined the Keir Starmer brigade, where he's just like, this isn't good, actually.
But he is sabotaged by the whole system.
Of course he is.
You will see what... This is a very interesting development, because it says New York City won't offer right to shelter to some immigrants after 30 days in deal with advocates. Now, this seems to me to be a really weird thing. I don't see how he can enforce this, because what this means is that someone goes there to New York, stays for 30 days,
and then isn't allowed to go back.
And then isn't allowed to go back. Yeah. I see no way he can enforce this, not because he personally has no power, but because there are other people who have more power than him who will sabotage him.
You should bus them. They're going from Texas to New York. You should bus them to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Say, you guys doing it.
Oh, I tell you what, I went to Washington, D.C. recently. I tell you what, you didn't see there any of this nonsense. None of that in Washington, D.C.
Where all the politicians are.
Here we see the other perspective within the Democrat Party when it comes to immigration. We see the AOC, who says, in this specific instance, sanctions that were originally authored by Marco Rubio took a large part in the driving of populations to our southern border. Shortly after those sanctions were enacted, we started seeing dramatic increases. So we have the entirely different perspective here. I will spare you. This is a difficult day. I won't show you the AOC video. So
thank you for the small mercy, Stelios.
You see, she basically says everything is to be blamed to the US.
Yeah.
The entire migration flow from Latin America to the US is entirely a problem of US sanctions to particular countries of Latin America. So what she says is basically they have no agency. They have no power to create a society by themselves. It's all a fault of the US, and the people of the US have to pay the bill.
What sanctions are there on Guatemala? Why would the US sanction Guatemala?
But there have been rumors about a lot of Venezuelan gangs, such as the ones that Eric Adams is now talking about, that are suspected for the murders we talked in the beginning with the bags. And you could say that the regime in Venezuela has everything to do with throwing away people.
100%, yeah.
More than 7.5 million Venezuelans have left Venezuela because of the atrocious communist policies associated with the Bolivarian revolution. But in her mind, it's just problem of U.S. sanction.
Yeah. But this is the victim narrative that you were talking about.
But
they're just the victims of the United States.
The language of this faction of the left seems to be that of a natural disaster almost. Like, this was an inevitability. Obviously, we just need to do the best we can and get over it and carry on as normal. That's basically how they're trying to frame it.
Well, it's very psychologically female as well. Like, things happen to me versus the sort of masculine people did things.
That's very true, yes. And also the sort of framing of it is that they want it to continue because it's to their political advantage as they see it.
Yeah, because they get more victims who they can mother and continually expand a welfare state over and gain more power themselves. Versus the masculine, if we solve the problem, then the problem is over and we did the right thing.
Absolutely.
And we end up again with the same cohort within the Democrat Party who is talking about mass migration. We have here the claim
everyone's favorite Chuck Schumer.
Everyone's favorite Chuck Schumer, and also I think it's everyone's favorite statement from Chuck Schumer, because he was saying in 2009, where a lot of Democrats were against illegal migration.
Yeah,
I think even Obama and Biden.
Oh yeah, 100%. They were probably against gay marriage at that point.
And right now he says basically that mass migration is the only solution to job shortages and declining birth rates.
Mad. Absolutely mad.
Yes. And this shows that the planners, because he is engaged in social engineering, aren't particularly wise. Because if you want, let's take for a minute that what he wants to do is the following. He cares about social cohesion. If he cares about social cohesion, then he must care about bringing people in to add to the population that are going to be compatible with the culture of the US. Just saying.
Right. Bald Eagle. Oh, sorry. I thought we were.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Yep.
Okay. Bald Eagle says, "Oh man, look at those racists calling for the deportation of asylum seekers. How dare they not give everything over and become slaves to the asylum seekers? What's the point, isn't it? They're not our dependents. We don't owe them anything. They can go away." And Ramshackle Lotta says, "Don't worry, lads. Our genetic resilience in the face of wind, rain, and snow will sort the wheat from the chaff in the countryside." Okay, that is one advantage. But again, the problem is just numbers. The continuing flow of humanity.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. And if you want to see what else we're up to, you can go on our website and watch Bo's series, Epochs. This one about Cato the Younger. So if you're interested in history, definitely want to check out. If you want to see all of the other work we're putting out, you could follow us on Twitter, our official account, where we post links to everything we're putting out so you don't get to miss a thing. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.